Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life, and welcome to episode 4 of the Wireless Weekly Recap. This episode will be a special edition. After I'm done going through the speed tests, I'm going to talk about how I would run Sprint if I had to take over Marcelo as of today. So, definitely a lot of points to cover. So, here we go. The first speed test is out of Las Vegas, 80 on the download, 32 on the upload. So definitely good to see T-Mobile doing lots and lots of work there. Next, we have a speed test out of rural Oklahoma. So he said he went over the 22 gigabyte threshold, and his speeds have been slow ever since. Once he goes into the city, his speeds do get better, but as soon as he returns back to his home area, speeds slow down. So I definitely appreciate him sending this in. This is really good info. And if you have similar experiences, you can also send them in. I don't always want to see good speed tests because I know there's problem areas out there. So I definitely appreciate this, and I hope it gets better for you. Next, we have some speed tests out of California. This is San Ramos. Definitely good to see that Sprint's doing well there. 112 download, 8 on the upload. Soon, I'm going to say probably towards the end of this year, we're going to start seeing faster speeds on Sprint's upload. It's already faster in Chicago. They're going to implement aggregation on the upload as well. They have lots of spectrum, so they can do that. And it just takes certain devices to aggregate. It has to be a technology implemented. Which phones currently do that, I don't know. Sprint hasn't really been talking about that too much. But as of now, the highest you can get is about 15. I've seen 24 in Chicago, so that'll definitely improve as well. So good to see. Next, we have some reports out of Virginia from Verizon. So definitely good to see Verizon doing okay there. I know T-Mobile doesn't cover very well in Virginia. I know certain areas it does, but certain areas it doesn't have any signal at all. So I hope T-Mobile gets better there, but Verizon's doing okay. So that's definitely good to see. Next, we have some speed tests out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So definitely good to see Sprint doing well there. 76 download, upload 13. As I mentioned, the highest you can go currently is 15. So definitely good to see that there. And then we have another one, 72 on the download and 12 on the upload. So definitely good to see these speed tests. You guys can send more and more in. They will be displayed on the weekly episodes. So I do appreciate all that. Next here, and this is where we're going to start the me talking about how I would run Sprint. So as you can see, these articles are coming now. Verizon is stealing Sprint's customers with its new unlimited data plan. So this was a strategic move by Verizon. Their numbers weren't going to get to where they needed to be for investors to be happy and the balance sheet to look good. Q1 is usually a slow quarter, so Verizon had to do something to shake up the industry and help them get better and make their balance sheets look good in the green. So that's why they're offering the unlimited, and it's working for them. They're gaining lots of customers, not just from Sprint, but everywhere. T-Mobile, at&t, some prepaids. A lot of people are switching. So, and like I told you guys, a lot of people are switching not based on the fact that the service is better, but just because Verizon is now offering unlimited. They're saying, yeah, they have the best network. Let me just go ahead and switch. But at the same time, T-Mobile was very good where they were at, but they just switched just for the fact that Verizon has unlimited. I've seen it. I've seen it on their Twitter supports. People saying, "Oh, I switched to Verizon. T-Mobile was good. I hope I don't regret switching." So definitely very strategic move by Verizon. Here we go. So if I were to run Sprint as of today, and I had to fill in Marcelo's spot, the first thing that I would have to do, I would have to get rid of direct to you. That service would have to go. He doesn't talk about it anymore. I don't see it advertised. I don't even know if it's still part of Sprint, but that service has to go. The wear and tear on the vehicles, the gas, the the purchase of the vehicle itself, I know it has to cost a lot. Now I know it's probably not even being used a lot, but that service, it has to go. I would, that's the first thing I would do before I change anything. I would have to get rid of direct to you. That has to go. Also, as I continue, just a little disclaimer: these are just my thoughts and opinions. I don't have a business degree or anything like that, so no need to get crazy in the comments. This is just me, and also you guys can leave your ideas as well. So next, on step 2, I would have to implement new plans. I don't like the idea of having new customers come in and my old customers not being able to take advantage of the new deal. Me myself, as being a prior store manager, a pet peeve of mine is the customer. I have to make the customer a priority. So what I would do is immediately I would implement a plan for all customers, and it would be permanent pricing. And I would also have to include taxes and fees like T-Mobile. So what I would do, I would implement a plan of 4 lines for $140 with taxes and fees included. That's what I would have to do. And I would also I would like my brochures to show pricing with the phone included, so the customer doesn't get mad when they see additional pricing. I've had that happen. I get to the brochure, we talk about it, cool, the price is $90. At the time when I was selling, it was still taxes and fees included, boom. But then now it's a phone cost, so now there's an additional increase on the bill, especially if it's a 4-liner. That can increase the bill by almost $100 depending on what phones. So I would, in my brochures, I would have pricing that included phone pricing and storage, because every time they go up in storage, it increases pricing. So I would have that in my brochures. Also, I would have to increase deprioritization to 50 gigabytes. Since it is labeled unlimited, I would have to make it an unlimited experience. So a lot of customers are probably not going to hit the 50 gigabytes of usage. So I would have to put it at 50. A lot of users are more than likely going to hit the 22 to 30 range. So I would have to put it at 50. Now, if you're a heavy user, then at 50, I think that's when network management and deprioritization would have to kick in, because you're just abusing at that point, in my opinion. If you have a Wi-Fi network at home and you don't have Wi-Fi at work, and you use your phone for Netflix and watching movies and stuff like that, then I think a perfect sweet spot is 50 gigabytes for the deprioritization. But once again, that's just my opinion. Next, I would have to implement a plan for the user that doesn't use a lot of internet. So on the 4 lines, let's say 2 of those lines are not going to use unlimited. So the customer is going to question, well, why would I pay 4 lines at 140 when the other 2 are not going to use unlimited? So what I would do is I would break the pricing down, divide it by 4. So the first 2 lines would be 35 unlimited, and the next 2 I would drop it down to 20, and I would offer 2 gigabytes free. So if it's your grandparents, your uncle, auntie that really don't use internet at all, and they're mostly on the Wi-Fi at home, but they like to make calls and text messages, I would drop it down to $20 and offer 2 gigabytes for free. So definitely that's what I would have to implement right off the back. Also, for the single lines, what I would do, I would have you go over to Boost Mobile for single line customers. T-Mobile's now doing it with Metro as well. I would only offer family plans on Sprint, and I would offer Boost Mobile single lines. I would not offer family plans on Boost Mobile. Boost Mobile would be strictly single lines. And what I would do also, I would not offer any unlimited on the prepaid side, because I want my premium customers, I want them to come over to the postpaid side. And I also believe for that reason, Verizon doesn't offer unlimited on prepaid, but they might in the next coming days because of the move from at&t. But I would want those premium core customers, I would want them on Sprint. So what I would do is I would offer one plan on Boost, and it would be $50, 15 gigabytes. And that would also be a deprioritization in effect. So I would not necessarily offer full speed unlimited, but after the 15 gigabytes, you would be throttled down to 3G. So definitely, I would not actively advertise it as unlimited, but I would slow you down at 15 gigabytes. And I think that's only fair because my pricing on Sprint is already fairly reasonable. So I would, for single lines, I would move them to Boost. Next, also, I would need all my market managers to keep store associates up to date about network all the time, no matter what. So if you're in the market, let's say Dallas, my store associates would have to know, either they would have to have some type of system, or they would have to have some type of access where they could call somebody about an area or about a tower being out. They would have to be updated daily updates, what's happening in the area, what are the towers doing. They would have to be updated daily. That's just something that I would have to do. I could not have my store associates say, "Oh, I don't know," call in. I think that's just bad business, in my opinion. Also, next, I would have to get rid of Virgin Mobile. I would just keep Sprint and Boost Mobile. That's once again, this is just my opinion. I would not have any Boost Mobile stores. I would only have Sprint stores, but I would sell Boost Mobile out of the Sprint stores. Because what happens is, if you're in a store, if you're in a Sprint store, and Sprint is selling you a plan, but it doesn't fit your needs, or in my case, if you're a single customer, and I tell you, you know what, I have a great plan for you, but it's Boost Mobile, so you have to go to a Boost Mobile store. So at that point, I'm letting the customer walk out. So the customer now has time to think, look at better deals, and shop around. So I would have to have Boost Mobile in my store so I can close that customer either on the Sprint side or on the Boost Mobile side. I cannot let this customer walk out of that door because the competition is very heavy and there's very good deals out there. I have to close the customer as soon as he gets in my store. So I have to sell both of those brands in the Sprint store. Definitely, it has to happen. That's something that I would do. Also, next, my store managers, my associates, assistant managers, shift managers, whatever the case may be, they would have to be just as knowledgeable as me. They would need to know network terms, specifics about towers, about everything. They would just have to know everything. I would have to test them prior to working for me. All the associates would have to, they would have to take tests. They would have to study. They have to have a certificate to actually start working on the floor. I had prior experiences like that at Radio Shack. Before I was able to go on the sales floor, I had to take intensive training to learn each of the parts and each of the SKUs. So I would definitely implement similar testing at Sprint. I would not let them get on the sales floor unless they take my test and they pass it. So Definitely have that has to be done. Also, all my call centers, they would be in the U.S. This alone will make Sprint that much better in customer service. Oftentimes, you call a call center in, let's say, India or wherever the case may be, and you can't understand half of what they're saying. And sometimes when they speak back, it sounds very aggressive. It's just their language. I mean, the accent, but just that alone would make the customer service just that much better. So I would have to bring all my call centers back to the US. That's one thing that I would do. Now, as I go further, I know some of these are probably going to be, undoable because of the money situation. But once again, I'm just speculating and we're just talking. Also, for my employees to be more hungry, I would have a lucrative pay structure, but they must perform. One thing that I learned at Radio Shack, if you didn't hit your metrics, you were useless. And if some of you guys worked in sales, it's a very, very tough environment. So I would have to have employees meet their performance each and every month. And if they don't, it needs to be immediate counseling. And then if they don't hit it again, then another counseling, coaching, and then, they would have to be out. They would have to be fired. I have to be very strict on this because in this competitive race, as you can see, Verizon stealing customers. Everything has to be spot on. It can't have any hiccups. So this is the first list. So next, we're going to go to the second list. Also, one big pet peeve of mine, I would need all displayed phones running on LTE, not Wi-Fi. I go to a lot of phone stores and the phones will be running on Wi-Fi. I can't have that. I need to display my network. I need to make sure that customers see, okay, this is a great network, fast speeds, that I need to have all the display phones running on LTE. One big negative that I felt like when I was working at Radio Shack had no active displays. It was just dummy phones. So I would definitely have to have the phones running on LTE and not Wi-Fi. Also, in my stores, I would have videos of LTE speed tests against other carriers in all markets. So I would have TV screens displaying videos of LTE speeds in all areas, showing that Sprint is competitive. Not necessarily saying that all the speeds are going to be faster in those videos, but just saying, just once again, when all my associates are knowledgeable, telling them, hey, you see Verizon's getting 40, but Sprint gets 20. But for video streaming, app loading, uploading Snapchats, you won't notice a difference. And I would also display that in the videos. I would have side-by-side uploading Snapchats, loading YouTube videos. I would have all that displayed on those videos. And I think that the customer in the store is going to get a much better experience overall. When he's making the purchase, it's going to let them know, okay, I made a good move. I got a great deal. And they're going to walk out the door more satisfied than anything. So that has to be, I would have to have that. Next, my network capex would have to be $5 billion per year. It would have to be $5 billion. And then in the more coming months, years, it would have to go up. It would have to. I can't. This 1, 2, 3 billion is not going to cut it. Once again, this is just me saying that, but if I'm actually in there and look at the numbers situation, it might be different. But going in, I would have to have it at 5 billion. I would need all my markets before I invest in anything else, small cells, new towers, anything else. I would have to have all markets 100% complete with band 41 installations. All towers as they currently are under my term would have to be done 100% with band 41. Have to. Also, the only other thing that I would also do is permits for new towers because they take time. So I would be also implementing that, but anything else would be put on hold. I would have to have funding for all towers to be 100% complete. At this point, that's what Sprint wants to do. So I would have to say, okay, you want to compete in the rural, dense areas. I would have to have all those towers 100% complete with Band 41 that are already up. So that would have to be a must. I would have to have that. Also, me as a CEO, kind of like John Legere, I would need to have interaction with the customers. Pet peeve. I would have to have interaction, FaceTime calls, whatever it has to be. I would need that type of interaction because I need to let my customers know that they're appreciated. Because oftentimes customers leaving and churn happens because the customer doesn't feel appreciated, doesn't feel like they're getting a good deal, so they go to another carrier. I would have to have interaction with the customer. That is a pet peeve. Emails, FaceTime, whatever the case may be, I have to have interaction with them. Also, I would like to get monthly updates to markets pointing out network progress. So the network team, as I told you guys, the market manager has to report to the store associates. So my network team would have to report to him as well monthly on what future progress will be, what they have planned, and which areas they're going to target. That's something that I would have to have that communication going on, because that communication is not going on right now. You call Sprint, Sprint tells you this, then you get to a higher management that tell you this. Every customer service agent you get to, they tell you something different. I can't have that. I have to have all my agents give you the same answer. I would need that. That has to happen. So, and then the next point, customers are priority. I already discussed that. Also, I would have to come up with a game changer. Now, at this point, I couldn't come up with anything, but one thing that I didn't implement this on here, but I would have to give a loyalty discount. So also, if you've been with a Sprint, let's say 10 years or more, I would give you 15% off on your overall bill. Also, for current and new customers, if you have more than 6 lines, I would also give you a 15% discount on your bill, on your overall bill. That's just something that I would offer, and this also would keep you with the company as well. And the reason I would do that is because what T-Mobile is doing, they're doing T-Mobile Tuesdays, and that's also an investment that they're making. So instead of offering it that, I would just give it back to the customer in the bill. But I wouldn't give it to everybody. But if you have more than 6 lines, I would definitely give you a 15% discount on your overall bill. And also, one thing that I forgot to mention on the plan, what I would also do is I would sort of have like what they have with the family plan. So if you have 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, whatever, you don't necessarily have to all live in the same household. So if you live in different homes or whatnot, I would just have the primary owner of the line, and then everybody else can live elsewhere. I would have that type of similar setup. So I think that's a really good setup that way. If you have 2 other relatives that live in, let's say they live in Chicago, but you live in California somewhere, they could still hop on your plan. I would definitely bring that back. Not necessarily the same pricing, but I would bring that similar structure back, because I think that's really good, to where they could say, hey, if you jump on my line, that'll make 6 and I'll get a 15% discount on my overall bill. And I think that would also give them a reason to bring more customers in. So I would definitely implement something like that. Of course, this is just me talking, but it would have to get reviewed and all that stuff. But I would definitely implement something like that. Also, as I said, the game changer, I would have that and a couple of other things. Maybe even bring hotspot rollover. It was mentioned to one of my buddies earlier. Nobody's doing it right now, so why not Sprint, roll over the hotspot? You didn't use your 10 gigabytes this month. Cool, don't worry about it. And that's not necessarily a game changer because it's already being offered and it's already an actual thing, but it's not being offered on hotspots. So I'm doing it. Hey, you didn't use your 10, you only use 6, so you get 4 roll over to the next month. Now you got 14. I would implement something like that. Also, another thing that I have noticed, and of course I'm just talking about my market, but Sprint stores are very boring. In my opinion, I walk in, everybody's just, I don't know if it's necessarily the store's morale, but it's very boring. I would need more activity and music playing. I know some stores do it, but I've seen some stores that don't do it at all. I would need, if there's a big sports event on, I would need it playing. Maybe a soccer game, football game, whatever. I need it playing. I need customers, and that also builds better rapport. Hey, is that your team? Oh, okay. And that can get a conversation started. So I need something like that. I need the doors open. I need tents outside. I need big speakers playing outside. I need all that. I have to have it. I have to draw attention to my store. So definitely, those are all the points that are covered. I know it was lots and lots, and the video was really long, but I was asked to do this a few times already via email, a couple of other buddies, and this was just a brief one. Maybe I'll make another one with more and more detailed later on. But I would really like to hear from you guys what you think. And also, if you want to pinpoint some moves you would make in the comment section, you're very welcome to do that. Also, let me know if you like my strategy, if this would maybe help Sprint run better. I think it will. I think cutting the Boost stores, cutting the Virgin stores, and just selling Sprint and Boost in one store, I think it would save money. But once again, probably initially the cost of breaking the leases for all those stores is probably going to be too heavy. But, like I said, we're just talking. So definitely stay tuned to the channel. This video was a lot longer. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys, got to sit down, have a drink. It was a very long video. Give these videos a thumbs up. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me going. And definitely stay tuned. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.